welcome to another episode of Inquiring Minds. I am your host, Steve Harper, and with me is the illustrious Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm kind of excited about today. We had some comments from viewers that they had questions about how we've been able to maintain such great momentum in this relationship, friendship that we've had all these years. And we talked about it in our premiere episode about how we met and how we kind of came together. But there's folks that are curious about how this show came about and sort of where we came up with the concept and the idea to do it. They're loving what we're sharing out there in the world, which is great, and we appreciate everybody paying attention and listening on the podcast platforms and of course YouTube. But there's some curiosity about you and me. I think that they're like, Donna's amazing. She's such an incredible person. How did you get lucky enough to ever meet her, Steve? And so thought maybe it was a good opportunity for us to kind of depart a little bit from our typical question and answer kind of approach and explore that a little bit for today's episode.
Well, we promised that if you throw in your 3 cents and ask for a topic, we're going to do our best to discuss it. And I love this topic because you have been a force in my life for a long time. For those of you that don't realize it, years ago there was a blog called Executive Books Blog. So what we did, there were 15 or so people chosen from around the world doing various kinds of work, invited to discuss either the topic of the book, the content of the book, or the summary that we would get before we would have that conversation online. I was one that was chosen. You were another one. And the first book that was chosen, which was phenomenal, was If Harry Potter Ran General Electric, which, I mean, Tom Morris is a brilliant philosopher, and that was the perfect way to get this blog going. And Tom actually took part in the
Yeah.
conversation, which was unusual. That wasn't expected from the author. Um, he really got the conversation going, which Tom does so beautifully. And you made a comment, and I reflected on that comment quite a few times and decided I was going to write you an email offline, which, yeah, I think we had each other's emails at the
Mm-hmm.
time or a way of contacting
Yep.
each other. It's a long time ago. It's about 15 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And I was grinning to myself because as a Canadian, you had the name of our current prime minister, and no end of grief when people heard that I was doing this blog with a Steve Harper.
Right. Right.
Um, but what was really intriguing was you asked a question that was so from the heart. It wasn't from, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, it wasn't purely intellectual.
Yep.
It was all encompassing of all of you through curiosity, asking a question, making a statement, and having a perspective that was unique to the conversation.
Yep.
And I wanted to tell you how much I appreciated it and what I was going to do with it. So the question that that person asked, how do you keep the relationship going,
Yeah.
is the honoring and the respect for the point of view, the values based conversations that you have coming
Yep.
from such a good place that I wanted to know you outside of that blog.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I reached out and was thrilled when you wrote back, because that was the start of a friendship that would last until now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it lasted longer than Executive Blogs did, unfortunately, because it was a great concept. It was such I kind of miss it. It was just such a fun thing. But I had been asked because my first edition of my book had just come out, and somehow the team that was running Executive Blog somehow keyed in on my book and the concept of the ripple that I was putting out there, and they're like, hey, I think you would bring some unique perspective. I was still fairly I had sold a company and was starting another entrepreneurial venture at the same time that I was launching the book, and so they felt like there was a new perspective, a little bit different approach, and I looked at that list of folks, and like I always do, I kind of researched everybody that was on that list. And I'm like, oh, no way, I do not fit here. This is not my cup of tea. And I legitimately tried not to participate, and they wouldn't take no for an answer. And so when that situation occurred on that first book, and I think I had done the comment and done a review, and you and I ended up connecting because your reach out was just so amazing. I always have a belief that people cross your path in life at very specific times and for very specific purposes. And if you're not paying attention or you don't take note, then you miss that opportunity. And at that juncture in my life, in my career, I was very much paying attention and was just so grateful somebody didn't say, why did you make that comment? Or, uh, you know, clearly, you're out of your depth, kid, basically. And I was so nervous about posting and doing anything relative to this because I just had no self-confidence relative to it. And you were just so gracious and kind. It made me curious. And I think some of the best relationships you have in life are the ones that keep you curious. And every single time from that moment on that we've interacted, you've kept me curious. And so when this particular viewer had put this forward about, hey, tell us a little bit how you kept it going, it's like, well, because I learn something every single time I talk to this woman. She's amazing, and there is just so much value that I get from not just the questions that we're asking here on the show, but just the fact that you play an engaged and active role in everyone's life that you invest in, and you've done that for me for over 15 years now, which has been amazing.
You know, I look at relationships as something that enriches our lives. It's like relatives or old friends from school days where you haven't connected with them
Yep.
in a gazillion years, and then you get on the phone. It's as if no time
Yep.
has passed whatsoever,
Yep.
right? And I remember I was going to be doing a keynote at Mind Your Own Business conference. I love the name of that
Yeah.
conference
Yeah.
in Austin, Texas. And I contacted you and said, I'm going to be in town. It would be great if we could actually meet in person because there wasn't Zoom at the time. We would be communicating pretty much through email.
Yeah.
And you came down and we had dinner together after my talk. And we really got to know each other a lot better. We were able to discuss what I spoke about, what we were doing with the ExecuBooks blog. I think it was towards the end of the blog at that
Yep.
point.
Yep.
And then time had passed, and another conference was coming up, the Conversation Among Masters for master level practitioners. And I contacted you and said, you need to be there. Bring your book. I want people to get to know you because you are doing incredible work with the ripple effect. I mean, what do we do best in our field than have somebody become more of who they are and the ripple effect be incredibly profound
Yep.
and huge? So you came and your dad came, and it was just fantastic to spend that time and see you with our common friend Kathy Buckley and
Yeah.
some of the other people that we hung out with in very intense conversations, because that's CAM,
Yeah.
right? The conversations, they don't end. They go after dinner. They keep on going through the evening because we're a bunch of coaches that talk about everything to the nth degree. I wanted them to know you.
Yeah.
And I watch, I follow your YouTube channel. I watch everything that's going on. And I was saying to myself, who do I have authentic conversations with whenever we talk? Whether it's reaching out saying, that was great, I just read this, that you were doing this, or
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook when you're talking about not getting any sleep and I pick up the phone and call you and going, like, what's going on here? That's right. 2x4 to the side of the head.
Yeah.
We know that we do that for each other.
Yeah. We do. Absolutely. And it's
I
a
think
gift.
that's what keeps it going, right?
Yeah, I it keeps it going because it's an absolute gift, right? And you get value through those interactions. I feel empowered, I feel more inspired, I feel motivated when you and I talk, whether it be because we're recording for Inquiring Minds or whether we're just, shooting the bull over the phone, or I'm texting you at during the NHL championships and annoying you. Stanley
That's it.
Cup. Yeah, but the neat thing about it, and for this listener that posed this question is, they're really at the end of the day, and I've talked about it in previous episodes. My confidence level in coming to the world as a unified co-host with you in this episode or in this series, the Inquiring Minds, the show. I really had to think about it when you posed it. I was like, I just don't think I'm on the same level as you. And you said, nope, that's just ridiculous. I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. And you won't take no for an answer, which is great. And I love that about you. But the thing that I kind of realized is that you have always pulled out the best in me and always been able to help me realize, where I want to go, what I want to do, and how I want to accomplish some things. And I think back, during COVID, and I had a conversation long before we started recording these, and I was going through a potential negotiation on a buyout of a business, and it wasn't going well. And the day that you and I talked, I think you could sense that, my mind was burdened with something, and we were scheduled to talk about something completely unrelated, but you picked up on that and you brought it, something else is going on. Tell me what's happening. And then before I knew it, it was kind of like, I just, had this, this long explanation about what was going on and why it wasn't going right. Never in my mind did I expect to have that conversation. And you started systematically giving me some guidance and direction about what I needed to do and how I needed to do it, and that I needed to have the confidence that I was the person that could bring this negotiation across the finish line. And every time from that conversation on, where my confidence waned a little bit, I went back to that conversation and I reminded myself that, nope, I've got this, I can do it. And I think that I talk about relationships a lot. You're going to have lots of them in your life. There's ones that are more important to you than others. And then there are the even more special ones that no matter what they do, and like you said, you can go, long periods of time and not talk, but it doesn't matter. You pick up like right where you left off, like you talked yesterday at the same time, right? You're one of those people for me because you are just amazing at what you do, but you're one of the most genuine and direct individuals I've ever met. And when I say direct, I mean that if you see something that is wrong, oh man, everybody needs a Donna Carlin in their life. All I can say, because I am so blessed because, we're more than just friends. We're like family. And I love that about the relationship that we've had. And so when this viewer had posed this question about getting to know it, how do we feel comfortable to do this series? Well, at the end of the day, it's because, this is how we would respond and react, on a given conversation. So might as well push record, and maybe somebody else benefits from the awesomeness that we're trying to create together.
There's some key points here. One is the trust in the individual that they are who they are. And knowing that we could talk about anything and not feel judged for it. Yep. is one thing. The second thing is I don't do well with scripted conversations. I don't do well when somebody wants to interview me and I get a list of questions that they want me to prepare for, send in the answers before they get on air.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
I like conversations to go organically. And, what people don't possibly know or realize is that we come to this recording with, what are we going to talk about today? And we just talk about it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no script. There's no notes. There's nothing. We're speaking from experience. We're speaking from our wants, our needs, and our dreams. And we are speaking from a place where we hope that there's a nugget, 2 or 3 in every conversation that we have that you could take and call your own and do something with, and then let us know what that is.
Yeah.
The bottom line is friendships thrive. And I hate continuing to use the word authenticity because it is so overused these days. I can't think of another word, though, that's as powerful in this context. as authentic,
Mm-hmm.
true, and honoring. And I think that's it also. I think we honor each other and what we each, bring to our lives.
Yeah.
And that's what I invite you to do with every relationship.
Yeah.
So it's not what you get, it's what you experience
That's right.
because you know this individual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and very well said. And to your point, authenticity and the word authentic is overused, but it's probably one of the least understood and appreciated words for what you really have. When I talk about the power of relationships, I talk about the people that really make a difference in your life. And that can be professional, and of course it can be personal, and you need those people that every time you have something that isn't going right, or something that you just need a kind of kick in the pants, or some additional motivation, or you just need support, right? To know that I'm
Yeah.
going to share this. I don't need judgment. I just need somebody to hear it, and sometimes not say anything, and sometimes say a lot of things. But at the end of the day, those kinds of relationships, when they happen, they are like capturing lightning in a bottle, and you need to understand them when they happen. You need to lean into them and embrace them, and you need to encourage to continue to have them. And I think for us, aside from the show, we've done that over the years. And it may be 6 months, 9 months in between our conversations, but we always just picked right up where we left off. And now the beautiful thing about this is I get to see you every week, and we're doing it more regularly. But because of that, other relationships that I have with other important people in my life and in my network have also blossomed in capacity, and in level of importance to me, because I'm putting that time and energy in as well, because I get such a buzz from spending time with you and those other important people that I have in my life, or that someone listening might have in their life. Recognize that for what it is, and don't ignore it. Return that email, return that call, invite somebody to lunch, get on a Zoom call, or find a way to have meaningful conversations, because it will be the highlight of your week. It'll be the highlight of your day for sure. And it's a state changer without question.
This is a way that we have a witness to our life also.
Yeah.
We could be the most successful people in the world, but without those relationships that we could share our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our insecurities with,
Yeah.
in a way that helps them witness everything that we go through, and applaud us for going through it. Um, there's nothing like it. The more you ignore relationships and think that you don't need them, and that you're perfectly, capable of living your life on your own, is a very lonely place to be. And some people don't really understand the power of relationship until they're in one, like ours, that we know that we are like a bat call away.
Yep.
Shine a light and we're there for each other.
That's
No
right.
ifs, ands, or buts.
That's right.
And, you've experienced that. I've experienced that, when I
Absolutely.
needed some guidance for technology, you not sleeping. I wrote you saying, book a call now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
That
this
was
morning
it.
in the next 15 minutes, I think was it.
That's right. That's
Yep.
it.
Yep. Well, and the magical thing about that is that you have those folks, you fostered those relationships, and you're better for it because you do. And I can't tell you just how grateful I am for our friendship, and the continued journey that we are on together. And the fact that I'm still well thought of on your end, because I'm not anywhere close to the former Prime Minister of Canada.
Yay.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with that. I've told that story to many conference audiences, and a lot of my good colleagues, that they get a chuckle out of that. That people thought you were having conversation with the Prime Minister of Canada back when he was in office, of course, right?
That's right. That's right.
Now I don't know
Why is
what he
he
does.
writing you? That's because we read a blog together.
Yeah.
You telling me that the prime minister writes a blog with you? Never said he was a prime minister. Stop reading my email. You know, it was that kind of conversation. It's just so funny.
Well, I'm the prime minister of Ripple, so there you go.
There you
I
go.
declare. So, well, Donna, this has been great. Thanks for, sort of deviating from our typical episode to share this. But like you said, I mean, we want to hear from our audience, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're listening on one of the various podcast platforms. We are so grateful that you're here. We're grateful that you're becoming active participants in the process, because we want that, and we want to hear what other topics you'd like us to to cover, other questions you'd like us to pose. We have no limits, right? We will be willing to talk
That's
about
right.
just about anything, and so we encourage you to do that. How might someone propose a topic or question to us, Donna?
They could go on our Facebook page, Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and Steve Harper, through our various social media, which they could get from our websites, through YouTube. And I'm going to throw out there for this one, I would love to hear surprise and gifted relationships that you came across by chance. How did you honor them, and what happened with them?
Yeah,
Tell us about the special people in your life
that'd be awesome.
that you like can't imagine life without. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and here's one additional way. I'm about creating ripples in people's lives, as you know, right? So you have to take action in order to create a ripple. The thing that might be fun to try is not only share that story with us, but actually share this episode with your friend or that special relationship that you have, and say, when these folks were talking about this, you're the person that came to mind for me. You're that one special person, and watch the ripple effect of that in terms of your relationship. It'll blow your mind. It will.
Yeah,
Well, and so
great idea.
yeah, if you have interest in reaching out to Donna directly, go to donnacarlin.com. You can reach her there, and she's got just amazing content on her website, as well as links to all of her social networks that she's a part of. You'll find her on LinkedIn. She just does amazing work there. And for myself, you can find me at ripplecentral.com. There's links to my Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff there. And we just appreciate you participating, letting us have a little fun with this episode. And we'll be back soon with a new episode of Inquiring Minds very, very soon. Donna, you take
Have a
care.
good one.
Yeah, all right. You too.